Welcome to the Coachzing Show, offering you the latest creative content marketing tips to help you work less, earn more, and help more people. Are you a coach zinger yet? Join the community where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come to discover the latest industry trends and partner with other like-minded professionals. Go to coachzing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello and welcome back to the Coachzing Show. This is the show we help you, coaches, therapists, speakers, and authors to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. And my guest today is Neil Patel of Quick Sprout. I know you'll get a lot out of this episode. Let me say a little bit about Neil and I'll bring him right on. Neil Patel is the co-founder of Crazy Egg, Hello Bar, and Kissmetrics. He helps companies like Amazon, NBC, GM, HP, and Viacom grow their revenue. The Wall Street Journal calls him a top influencer on the web. Forbes says he's one of the top 10 online marketers. And Entrepreneur Magazine says he created one of the 100 most brilliant companies in the world. He was recognized as a top 100 entrepreneur under the age of 30 by President Obama and one of the top 100 entrepreneurs under the age of 35 by the United Nations. He has been awarded congressional recognition from the United States House of Representatives, and you can learn more about him at quicksprout.com. That's quicksprout, SPROUT.com. Neil Patel, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So, my first question to you is, you've obviously been tremendously successful in getting the word out and growing your business and helping others do the same. I'm curious about what's your favorite way to, or one of your favorite ways to get the word out about what you do to the people that most need to hear it.
My favorite way is through content marketing, and not just by writing content, but more so writing content that educates. If you can end up educating your potential customer, your prospect, whatever it may be, and give them such good information that actually teaches them something that helps them grow their business and helps them solve a problem, there's a good chance they'll be like, hey, this content's amazing. Who wrote this? What does this company do? Let me check them out as well. Because if their content's awesome, then their product must be great as well.
So that's a great distinction. In other words, people say, I use content marketing, but what you're saying is, how good is your content? What is your content actually producing for people?
That's correct, right? So it's all about when you're writing information, when someone reads it, what are they getting out of it?
That's a very good point. That could be a good segue into my next question about what do you see as the biggest mistakes that people make with content marketing?
The biggest mistake that people make with content marketing is that they're not actually going above and beyond. So what I mean by that is, they're like, okay, if someone wants to learn how to set up Google Analytics, writing an article that just says, hey, here's Google Analytics and this is how it works, and that's it. The article may be 500 words. And sure, you can teach people how to set up Google Analytics in 500 words. But if you go above and beyond and create a guide that's like 5,000 words, that breaks down every feature, that walks them through different use cases, etc., it's going to be so much more valuable that more likely it'll be shared, it'll be linked to, etc., which is the type of content that builds a loyalty. See, blogging has been around for so long now that just writing decent information doesn't do well. You have to really go above and beyond.
That seems to be a theme that a lot of our experts are saying is it's busier out there than it's ever been. Do you think that the bar in some ways has been raised on content?
It has been raised. And because the competition has been growing over the last 3-4 years, more and more companies have decided that, hey, if we're going to produce content, it better be really awesome.
So one of the things, also another question I have for you, because I know this is something that you help people with, which is, so another issue is I have content, but how do I get my content in front of the people that, need to read it or see it?
Yeah, so there's a few ways. One way is just going out there and saying, hey, here's all our social profiles. Let me go and promote everything on my social profiles, right? And that actually works quite well. It's actually the main way a lot of people have been promoting content. Most people just don't know how to effectively do it, or they forget to do it, etc., right? But going out and leveraging existing social channels or social channels within other people within your company is a great way to start. The second way is emails. So if you have an email list of customers, potential customers, including them in the email and sending all your content from your blog, right, is a great way to get more readers and more traffic. It's a double-edged sword in which, yes, you could be emailing them too much, etc., but if your content's really good, they'll actually want your email and they'll want to read whatever information you have to offer. Plus, they're more likely to engage as a customer in the future, right? Now, lastly, the other thing that a lot of people don't do is you link to other people. Now, you don't have to link to your competition, but when you write content, ideally you should be linking to other sites that are resourceful and provide value. In essence, if there's already an article out on the web that discusses something that you're going to talk about, don't recreate the wheel, just link to them. And if you have 10, 15 of these links that are pointing to external sites, when you do a blog post, you should be emailing these people saying, hey, I linked to you, love the article on your website. If you like mine, feel free to share it. And you'll also get more traffic that way. So those are the three main ways that you can be sharing your content. The first one and the second one is a bit easier to do. The third one is a bit more time-consuming, but they're all effective strategies.
Thank you. That's great. The last one is really powerful in terms of using you're using the traffic that other people you're taking from their platform and their traffic. I'm curious about the experience of how that works in terms of, as your experience, people are receptive. Are people really receptive to receiving emails like that?
They are, and they're typically flattered, and you'll notice that you'll get like 20 to 30% of those people to share your article.
Wow. Which can be really powerful, especially if those are people that have a lot of platform, a lot of traffic.
That's correct.
So I'm curious for you as well. You talked about email, for example, and having your email list, and there's so much said about email. I'm wondering if you have any tips, tricks, or thoughts about how listeners can build their email list if they don't have a list or they don't have as big a list as they'd like to have.
If you don't have a list or a big enough one, you can always educate through like ebooks, courses, etc. So if you release an ebook that can educate people, they'll typically give you their email in exchange for the ebook. And that's the simplest way to actually start capturing emails.
So have that ebook, and then people, in order for people to be able to access that, they would share their email.
That's correct. And you can use any email provider like MailChimp, which is free, or Aweber, or GetResponse. And they all have it set up where if someone subscribes, then send them an ebook.
How about once people are on your email list, and you mentioned the idea of, obviously you want to follow up with them. I'm wondering if you could say more about, I know there may not be one right answer to this, but how often you should follow up with your list and what you should say to them. I know people struggle with that.
Yeah, you should be trying to follow up with your list once a week. If you follow up too much, you'll find that you'll get a lot of unsubscribes and you may irritate people. You also want to do trigger-based emails where if they're opening up previous emails, then keep emailing them. But if they don't open up any of your emails, then stop emailing them, right? Get the hint, in essence. You also want to make sure the emails you're sending them provide more value than asking for stuff. If you keep asking for stuff like sign up, buy this, etc., going to irritate people, but if you keep educating and you're selfless, what you'll find is more and more people will actually want to open up your email, share it with their friends, subscribe, say good things about your company.
So that's a very good point. It's funny you said that, because I can think of a couple of email lists I'm on, and I'm very close to unsubscribing because I haven't received any email except buy my things. Like they haven't actually taught me anything.
And that's the majority of the emails out there, and that's why if you educate through emails, you'll actually win people over.
How would I know? So can you give people some ideas or examples about, so how would I know what people want to be educated about in my field? I mean, let's say I'm in, the health and fitness niche, or I'm in marketing, or whatever niche I'm in. How would I know what would be a good topic to educate people on in my field?
Yeah, a good topic to educate people on within your field is just by asking them, right? So whatever you may be, whether you're in the pet industry or in the B2B marketing industry, like it just doesn't matter. So survey potential customers, survey the visitors on your website. Hey, what problems do you have? What can I help you with? What information would you love to read about, right? If we were to start a blog, what would you like us to write about? Or can we teach you anything that you need help with? Now, you can do like Qualaroo or SurveyMonkey to ask all these questions, and what you'll notice is people start giving you answers or respond to these questions. Some people will give you off-the-wall responses that don't make sense. Others will give you responses that make sense. But you'll actually find the majority will ask very similar things or respond with very similar things. And what you do is you take the common ones and you actually start creating blog posts based on those topics.
I love it. And you mentioned blog posts, so that was going to be my next question to you is, if you were, if you were to say to someone just starting out who said, all right, I'm going to create some type of content to educate my prospects, I'm curious, what form of content you would start with?
I would typically start with blog posts. It's the simplest. And you can use the tool on quicksprout.com, put in competitor URL, see what's working for your competitor, and then go from there, right? So you can see, hey, what is your competitor writing? Take the survey data that you're getting, come up with some ideas, and just start working out some blog posts.
That's a great idea. So so starting, like you said, very simple, start with blog posts, and you don't have to be, pretty much anyone knows how to, you don't have to be a technological genius to start writing blog posts. It is a pretty simple, you don't have to learn how to do video, you don't have to learn how to do audio. If you can write, you can create a blog post.
Yeah, and it's actually funny. I was talking to a few individuals the other day who graduated from Ivy League colleges, and they were talking about how they want to blog. And I was actually breaking down to them on why they're not going to be as good of a blogger as the average Joe. The main reason being is the vocabulary is high, right? They're really technical and smart, and they can't necessarily relate with their writing to the average Joe. And for that reason, a lot of the words within their blog posts are going to go over people's heads. So if you're just an average person, you have average grammar, spelling, and vocabulary isn't, the best in the world, that's fine. Your blog post will probably do better than that person who graduated from Harvard.
That's a very interesting point. So you can actually, you can be sort of too educated for your own, for your own audience. So where it'd be hard for them to relate to you.
Exactly.
That's a very interesting point. I never thought of that before. So the takeaway there is you don't feel like, oh, I'm not smart enough or I'm not as good as these other people. In fact, you actually have an advantage.
Yep, you got it right.
How about, so I have my blog post. I've got, I have my blog post. I'm sharing it. And I know you said about converting people, from to my email list from an ebook and so forth. How about any thoughts about converting people from your people who read your blog posts and having those people to join you on your email list?
I'm a bit confused on what you're asking. Can you repeat?
Oh, I'm sorry. My question is, so I know you said that you would start with a blog post. I'm curious about how you would go from a blog to someone subscribing to your email list. Would that still be sign up for my ebook? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it would pretty much be like sign up to my ebook. You got it right.
Okay. All right. And then where else? Also, I know you mentioned social media. I'm curious if different social media sites, what social media sites you think are better for different audiences.
So I would say the social media sites vary a lot. But in general, Facebook and Twitter are the most popular ones. LinkedIn's great for B2B. Pinterest is great for stuff that appeals to women. You just got to figure out what industry you're in and, where are your potential followers, like what social sites are they on. And typically a safe rule of thumb is they're all on Facebook. It's the other networks that vary a lot.
Got it. Yeah, everyone is on Facebook, huh?
Exactly.
And then the other thing that I know people have been really another question I wanted to ask you was about, people have really been talking a lot these days about paid traffic, and I was curious your thoughts about, paid traffic versus organic traffic. Yeah,
I think both are good. If you can make paid traffic ROI positive, in which you're spending, $5, and every $5 you spend, you make 10, then it's great. And you should spend as much as possible. On the flip side, I think organic's great as well. It's not really a one or the other. You should be leveraging both.
Got it. And I would imagine, though, like if I'm first starting out, it's going to take me some trial and error to know, right? To know what my ROI is going to be on my paid traffic.
Yeah, you may not want to start right away, but you can start at the first few months, right? You also have to look at it from an organic perspective. Just because you have more organic traffic doesn't mean it's going to convert. It also takes a long time to ramp up the organic traffic. It's not going to grow that rapidly until 6 months in your business, and you don't really start seeing great results until like the 1 to 2 year mark.
So if you're looking to grow rapidly, then organic traffic alone may not really be the answer, it sounds like.
No, it takes years. So you're looking at, you need a mixture of social, paid, organic. You got to try all the channels, even email.
In your experience, I mean, you've been very successful in helping other people and obviously do this yourself. I mean, using all of those together, I'm curious for you about what is a reasonable expectation of how long it takes to start getting traffic? So I start my new blog and I start, what is a reasonable expectation of that I know, okay, this is kind of how long it will take for me for this blog to gain traction in my market?
Yeah, it can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months to start seeing some traction. It'll take over a year before you're typically a significant player or even a player within that space.
I think that's really helpful for people. I really appreciate you sharing that. Really helpful for people to hear, because I think people sometimes they have expectations that aren't realistic about how quickly it's going to happen.
Yeah, and a good example of this is I started a new blog. It's called neilpatel.com/blog. And on that blog, I share my journey from 0 to 100,000 visitors a month. And each month I break down my traffic stats, and I'm explaining why traffic's going up, down, etc. And the only reason I decided to do this is everyone thinks you can start a site, even if you're like well connected like me and you've been doing this for a while, that you'll get a lot of traffic. It's not the case. It's actually a lot of hard work, right? So hopefully this gives quite a bit of clarity on how long it takes to create a popular blog and how much hard work it really is.
Right, and that's you saying that. I mean, in other words, you're somebody who really knows what you're doing and have done this a long time. So I feel like, for somebody listening who's just starting up, to realize that if you're just starting this and you're having to learn a lot, you've got to give it time.
Yeah, you really do, right? And that's okay. Everything that's worthwhile typically takes time.
So, again, my guest is Neil Patel and from quicksprout.com. Can you say a little bit about, just share with the listeners what Quicksprout is and how you help people?
Yeah, it's just a website that teaches you about online marketing. I give away everything for free. I don't charge for one single thing.
That is really cool. So I definitely encourage people to visit quicksprout.com. Neil Patel, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your words of wisdom with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So thanks everyone again for listening. And I want to remind you, as always, that nothing you've heard here will make any difference unless you take action on it. So get out there and make it happen. Until next time, this is Doug Foresta at The Coachzing Show.
Thanks for listening to The Coachzing Show. Need help getting your book out of your head and onto paper? Need help marketing your books or speaking engagements? We can do it for you. Go to Coachzing.com to learn more. Are you a coach singer yet? Join the Coach Singers community where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers meet. You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to Coachzing.com/community to join now.